Up on Network Africa. A 2-day-old baby becomes the youngest victim of coronavirus in South Africa after being born to a coronavirus-positive mother. Businesses in Botswana set to open as lockdown in the country ends after 48 days. Plus, thousands of families displaced by flooding in Kenya that has also disrupted the COVID-19 response in the country. Thank you for joining us this hour. Welcome. I'm Layo Adegoke. The world now has a little over 5 million confirmed COVID-19 cases. Out of that figure, Africa accounts for 95,586. From the total number of confirmed cases on the continent, more than 38,000 have recovered, and the death toll stands at 3,000. South Africa still has the highest number of cases in Africa with 18,003 cases. It's followed by Egypt with 14,228, then Algeria with 7,542. In West Africa, Nigeria has recorded 6,677 cases, followed by Ghana, which has seen 6,269 cases. Meanwhile, the countries with the most fatalities are Egypt with 680, Algeria 568, and South Africa 339. Well, in South Africa, a 2-day-old baby is the youngest victim of coronavirus after being born prematurely to a coronavirus-positive mother. It is the country's first neonatal death. The Health Minister, Zweli Mkhize, says the premature baby tested positive for COVID-19, having lung problems and requiring ventilation after birth. South Africa, which has the highest coronavirus infections in Africa, reported 27 new deaths, bringing the fatalities total to 339. Some 803 new coronavirus cases were announced on Wednesday evening, taking the total to 18,003, and of those 18,000, 8,950 have recovered. Well, thousands of people struggling under South Africa's tough lockdown waited in snaking queues for food aid on the outskirts of Pretoria. Aerial footage showed thousands of people standing in miles-long line on a dirt track by an informal settlement dominated by foreign nationals, highlighting the human cost of the country's coronavirus restrictions. Botswana has completed the phased easing of restrictions and will now allow businesses and schools to reopen under strict guidelines. The country was in lockdown for 48 days and started easing it about 2 weeks ago. The final phase ended on Wednesday night, and the government advised people to keep wearing face masks and washing their hands. Depending on the coronavirus disease pattern, the government says a return to lockdown is still an option. Stringent conditions have been set for businesses and schools wishing to reopen, such as checking body temperatures, regular disinfection, and the wearing of masks. Also, residents returning to the country will have to go into mandatory quarantine, and the ban on foreign visitors remains in place. Uganda's health minister has revised downwards the country's total number of coronavirus cases following President Yoweri Museveni's directive to expunge all foreign drivers from the tally. By Wednesday, the country had confirmed 260 cases, according to the World Health Organization, but the minister says the number is now 145. Jane Akeng said the count of all infected foreign lorry drivers would be added to their respective countries. The health ministry has handed over 124 infected foreign drivers to their respective countries, but did not disclose their nationalities. We move to Kenya now, where flash floods, landslides, and other rain-related disasters have killed hundreds in the East African nation this year, displacing tens of thousands of families. Homes and roads have been swept away around Lake Victoria, and their crops have also been destroyed. This has also hampered the COVID-19 response efforts in the country. Although the effects of climate change on seasonal rainfall in East Africa are still unclear, environmentalists say that warmer weather combined with poor water management around places like Victoria is to blame.
It is a sin that has become all too common here on the banks of Lake Victoria in Kenya. Weeks of heavy rainfall has left many settlements submerged. There have always been rains in this region, long and short, but many people here say that what they are seeing now is unprecedented. In Bunyala Kasper Ajuma, a local council official is here to survey the damage. He's concerned about the impact on people's homes and livelihoods, which are under muddy water.
This is a center, almost 10 kilometers from where the initial land was. 10 kilometers radius, can see. The lake has reclaimed much of our land, and now we don't have anywhere to farm, we don't have anywhere to live, to build our houses.
The floods have killed at least 200 people and displaced 40,000 more. Many of them are living in informal camps like this one in Kadundu. Millicent Agata, a widow, is preparing a meal for her grandchildren. They are safe, but hungry.
We have been here for 3 weeks now. We are in great need of assistance, especially food, because we have lost our livelihood.
According to environmental campaigners, climate change is one of the key factors causing the devastation.
The floods, the droughts, the wildfires that we see are as a result of climate crisis. So there is need for collective action, and this needs to be done urgently. We don't have time to waste.
Soil erosion caused by deforestation as well as poor land management, which allows people to develop homes and businesses on Lake Victoria's shores, are also to blame.
Actually, floods does not have to result in disasters all the time. What has been happening is that Kenya has had poor land use regulations, and people are living in floodplains. This increases their vulnerability to flood events.
The people of Lake Victoria must now wait for these waters to recede so they can return home. They live in uncertainty, not knowing when the next flood will come.
Let's speak now to Kenyan journalist Cyrus Umbati to tell us more on the situation of things in Lake Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us. This must be a devastating time for the victims of this disaster that are living around the Lake Victoria. What is the update, on their welfare?
Good evening. It's true there's a problem of flooding in the country, and especially the Lake Victoria region at large. The water levels at the lake is on the rise, is rising all throughout because of the heavy rains being experienced in the region. And this has affected the towns, especially Kisumu, the Siaya, and when you go to Budalangi, the towns which are around the lake at large. This has caused a lot of displacement. There's a fear of outbreak of cholera because most toilets there, pit latrines are flooded with water and the water is coming out. Many people are displaced and camping at churches and schools. And even there's a directive that we should have social distancing is becoming a problem. The neighboring regions are experiencing issues of landslides, which is becoming difficult now again to handle those people. They are affected people because there are many. They are being displaced and they need housing. So it's a combination of problems which are coming at a time when the country and the region or the world is facing this coronavirus problem. But the response has been a kind of slow from the county, the regional governments, and then the national government. People are complaining. There's poor response at large, but people are coping at large. There's nothing we can do for now. Thank you.
Yeah, quite sad. There's nothing to be done. But these floods, no doubt, is hampering the COVID-19 response efforts in that environment. How is the government coping, battling this health crisis and the environmental crisis?
Well, as I said, there's a problem in terms of response from the national government and the regional government because of the fears of coronavirus disease spread. Well, the government is appealing to many donors, whether local, international, to come on board and help them in dealing with the menace, because the cases are too many. It's not only the Lake Victoria region. We also have Lake Naivasha, which also has its water level rising. We have many people in the central region of the country. Also, they are affected. So it's a problem. It's a combination of problems here and there. But we will hope that things are going to be better. But given what predictions are coming out of weathermen, the issue is going to be complicated further because, like, for example, they are saying tomorrow we are going to experience more rains. This issue is damaging roads, damaging homes. So response is almost nil. You are left as a victim. You are left to survive on your own. We hope that as we are still going on, the issue will be going to be better at large. Thank you.
Yeah, and Kenya also broke a new case record in 24 hours with 80 new cases, and that brings to the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country to over 1,000. Now, a handful of counties, including the capital Nairobi, are on lockdown. What can you tell us about, the level of compliance so far?
Well, it's true. The cases which have been reported are high, 80. It's the highest since the first case was reported in early March. And there are fears that they are going to rise because now they are testing more. And the more you test, the more cases you realize. There's a problem in terms of compliance in the city because nowadays people have relaxed their kind of alertness. When you walk around, you see there's a lot of laxity in terms of social distancing. Those wearing face masks, they are few, or generally there's lack of compliance. When you go to eateries or restaurants, which have been now opened with some conditions, you don't see much of compliance, which is now complicating. Markets are open markets are kind of open and operational, which is also another problem. Public transport they're also in operation. But the issue of social distancing is a challenge at large because of the population which are rushing to take, especially this public transport system. Now it's our hope that as we move on and what we have been told by the government, that the cases are going to be on the increase until September, when we may realize that the curve is flattening. The death toll has been stable at 50 in the last 1 week. We don't know whether there are more deaths happening in the rural areas that are not being reported. But then the rate at which the cases are being confirmed is high and alarming. But we hope for the best. Thank you, Mom.
All right, then, Kenyan journalist Sarah Sombati, thank you for speaking to us all the way from Nairobi. Well, we have more on Network Africa still to come. Well, Cairo, Egypt revives its old tradition of breaking the Ramadan fast with cannon fire. Do join us again. Thank Thanks for staying with us. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has announced that university students and final year secondary students will now return to their classes on the 1st of June. Sporting events, which have also been halted for at least 2 months to stop the spread of coronavirus, is also to resume. But other secondary school and primary school pupils will not be returning yet. Tanzania stopped giving out daily statistics on new infections several weeks ago, but President Magufuli insists that the country's infection rates have significantly declined. Unlike other countries in the region, Tanzania did not impose a lockdown or impose strict restrictions on its citizens, though they are urged to social distance, wear face masks, and wash their hands. Some countries, like the United States, however, believe that the number of cases in the East African nation could be much higher than has been reported, something which the authorities dispute. Well, new innovations continue to spring up as part of efforts in combating COVID-19. The latest is from students of Kano State University of Science and Technology here in Nigeria, who have designed some equipment to help win the fight against the pandemic. Management of the institution say the goal of the innovation is to flatten the COVID-19 curve. Take a look.
Since recording its first COVID-19 case on Saturday, April the 11th, Kano State has stayed on the radar. By the last announcement by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the Northwest State has a total of 847 confirmed cases, the second highest nationwide after Lagos. Now the State University of Science and Technology is joining the search for an end to the pandemic. This solar-powered infrared human temperature scanner is designed by students of the Department of Engineering. Another is this automatic sanitizer dispenser machine, also solar-powered.
When one puts his or her hand under, when the sensor reads the hand, it will now dispense and make a sound. The reason why we make the sound is, for example, you know some people, they may try to skip the process. So if we keep it there by the door, you have the receptionist there. So provided the receptionist sees someone coming in without hearing the sound, it means he didn't sanitize his hand.
The school management sees this as part of the university's contribution towards finding a localized solution to the pandemic.
The pandemic actually made us to wake up to the call of the academics, not only here but in all other institutions of the Federation. And what we are witnessing today is really the initiative that actually we are able to make in order to fight against the spread of the coronavirus.
So far, 10 of the machines have been fabricated with plans to make more. As they say, necessity is the mother of invention. That surmises this atmosphere here. If such efforts are given the right support, the nation's quest for a well-developed and functional, creative and innovative hub may no doubt become a reality.
A Senegalese dairy company, Dolima, saw a slowing down of its business because of the COVID-19 lockdown, but a subsidiary is seeing a lifeline, selling fruits, vegetables and cooked meats for home deliveries. Demand have more than doubled last month. Club Kosam now employs an extra 25 people and is building a new refrigeration unit in Dakar.
Since the coronavirus reached Senegal, a growing number of residents in the capital have begun ordering groceries online, a welcome boost to a fledgling delivery service in a country where produce is usually bought in shops or markets. Club Kosam now delivers milk products, vegetables, fruit and meat to 1,300 households in Dakar per week, with monthly sales doubling since the start of the epidemic. The rapid uptake of deliveries from Club Kosam, a subsidiary of Senegalese dairy company, the Shepherd's Dairy, has offered a lifeline not only to the parent company, but also local suppliers hard hit by the outbreak.
We learned that all of a sudden, a lot of people requested to have groceries delivered at home, which is one of the consequences of this pandemic. And it is a really good thing for the company. But I say they should not take their already existing customers for granted and continue to improve on their service.
The delivery firm sped up a planned expansion of its services in March when normal shopping was disrupted by a dusk-to-dawn curfew, limits to public transport, and the closure of open-air markets to combat the virus. Its decision to offer weekly deliveries of vegetables and fruit, in addition to the daily products it had sold since 2016, was a game-changer for the business.
We contribute to most of the yogurt demand. It has increased, but you know, part of the target population has left. A large part of the expatriate community left the country, so there are pluses and minuses. Overall, we are okay with our yogurt at Club Kosam, but with the vegetables, it's clear that the demand has exploded. It almost did not exist before, and they wanted to respond to a specific problem, the crisis.
Since the start of the pandemic, we have doubled our deliveries. We do 1,300 deliveries per week. We were not doing that much at the start, so we are growing. But the pandemic sped everything up.
To the outbreak, businesses are moving online, while Senegal's trade ministry is helping by fast-tracking e-commerce policies and reforms, and also has created a platform grouping e-commerce sites online to ease access. Club Kosam's customers can now order their weekly basket of groceries that include a wide range of products, whilst limiting their contact with other customers in a country where social distancing has proved difficult.
Scientists in Kenya and the UK have discovered a microbe they say can protect mosquitoes from malaria. The team of researchers say the findings has the potential to control the disease. Malaria kills around 800,000 people a year and is second only to tuberculosis in its impact on world health.
In a laboratory in Kenya, Dr. Jeremy Heron and his team have made a breakthrough. They discovered that this microbe called Microsporidia can prevent mosquitoes from being infected with Plasmodium, the parasite that causes malaria. It's a disease that kills hundreds of thousands of people around the world every year. The discovery of the microbe also comes as current malaria control measures are starting to become insufficient or ineffective.
Since the beginning of humans, pretty much, malaria has been with us, and it's killed, a lot of people. We've developed some tools to control it, and there have been definitely some major advances and decrease in the amount of malaria in the last couple of decades. But we've not had anything really new and revolutionary in the last couple of years. And I think that that's going to be really key, because a lot of the tools that we have are getting a bit less effective as mosquitoes evolve resistance to a lot of the chemicals that we use.
The microbe lives naturally in the gut and genitals of some of the mosquitoes tested by Heron and other scientists at the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology in Nairobi.
And as we end the program today, for the first time in years, Cairo residents have witnessed with delight the revival of the ancient tradition of firing a cannon at sunset, which signals the time to break one's fast, reinstated by the government this year. The tradition is carried out using a historic cannon that was originally placed inside the Cairo citadel, or the citadel of Salaheddin, a medieval Islamic-era fortification built in the 12th century. This year, the cannon was brought to Cairo's Al-Nada Square, where families gathered every day since the beginning of Ramadan, many of them with their children, to watch the tradition unfold at sunset. Well, that's where we end the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.